Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the old world. I hope you guys are all staying safe. And today, guys, we're back with the Vampire Coast vs. Empire showdown. It's going to be me betraying my people using Count NOCTILUS, facing off against the Sons of Sigmar, who are going to be led by Marcus Wolfhart, who I think is actually a really cool choice here. Now, as far as my army goes here in the front, it is going to be deckhand mobs backed up by bombers and Count NOCTILUS. So basically, if they rush with Flagell and Sigmar Sons, in theory, the bombers should be able to do some big damage. On top of that, Sirens, very susceptible to burning heads and things like that, but if they're not focused by such magic or you're able to efficiently dodge it, Sirens can be an absolute pain in the butt for pretty much any faction to kill that doesn't have a ton of magic damage. Empire has some. I think he brought Hammer of the Witches, which does do magic damage, which actually is pretty good here. And he does have a Firecaster with Fireball and Burning Head, so he's pretty well equipped to deal with them if he gets the proper casts. So in the back here, we have two handguns, and then we do have triple deck gunner. Now, the triple deck gunner build with handguns is very efficient against Volkmar the Grim builds. If he comes up, he can get hammered pretty damn hard. You can send him back to the Shadow Realm and then push from there. But my opponent here, the Great Dactyr, brought a very different build. I mean, it's relatively standard in many respects. You have archers, you have some artillery pieces, but Marcus Wolfhart, I haven't seen him in quite some time in this matchup, so really excited to see how he does. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We got some halberds back here. We have deck dropper bombers, which are just there to take care of things that leak through the front line, because eventually the state troopers, Flagell and Sigmar Sons will beat your deckhand mobs, especially if your bombers don't do their job. And you need something to kind of clean up these scraps. Now on the flanks, we have scurvy dogs. We have two here and one here. So a lot of the scurvy boys going to be trying to get in there and feast on some of them archers and artillery pieces. So for my opponent's army, Marcus Wolfhart, front line is state troopers with Sigmar Sons. He's got silver bullets, double huntsman, double cannon, and it looks like some Empire Knights in the back. Pretty cool build. A lot of people do go with like mass archers, like more archers, and sometimes don't even bring artillery, but I think the great cannons here are a pretty cool inclusion for sure. They do trade, if I'm not mistaken, against carronades 1-to-1 more efficiently, although something I might need to test. It's been quite some time. But the Hammer of the Witches is shooting the Sirens, which is a great play. Every shot is going to take out a couple models, and that's pretty significant at getting them to start crumbling. NOCTILUS, in the meantime, is also being shot with cannons, so you can see here in the front, I was juking back and forth, but Marcus just ripping some shots at the old boy Count NOCTILUS here, and though I do have healing, it still is a nice investment, right? He's invested in them long-term stocks here, blasting away at Count NOCTILUS. Now on the flank, trying to get the scurvy doggos. I do attack the spearmen for a moment and decide to try and get some free damage and just run away, which does often work. The scurvy dogs on the charge can actually do some work against the spearmen, but we'll see if I can get away before the Empire Knights do close the distance. Sirens moving up. Looks like all the huntsmen appearing from their ambushes here. They do, of course, have stalks, and now I'm kind of aware of what his army looks like. And there is going to be a fireball coming in on Count NOCTILUS, so really good sniping from my opponent. I'm going to be going after Count NOCTILUS, the hard knock life, and that is one of the better ways to deal. And he's trying to dodge it, but it hits him. It's one of the better ways to deal with vampires in general, right? Just cut the head off the snake. It's very effective against vampire counts. Granted, it's still hard to do because they have invocation, but these are invocations that can't be used on my Sirens, they can't be used on my other assets, and he doesn't have too many openings in his army. Very well played, kind of sealed chessboard here. I mean, there's a little bit of a piece I could squeeze in here, but he has his Empire Knights in reserve, and it's been a tricky pickle, man. So here, the zombie-powered bomber is going to be moving up, but the huntsman really teeing off, and the biggest issue, of course, is that Count NOCTILUS has been getting hammered, so I had to pull him back kind of far to get him away, although in retrospect that probably wasn't the best idea. I should have just blitzed up with him, simply because, I'm not going to outrange Marcus's, business here. And it looks like a hunter snare going down, so there was a really big opening in the front line. I was like, oh yes, the dogs were going to run through, get on the silver bullets, cause a ton of commotion, but Marcus with a beautiful hunter snare and a nice Sigmarite charge. So here you can see the heavy cavalry of the Empire going to be moving in, and those scurvy dogs are going to be paying the price. And yeah, it's a rough one, man. But bombers do get a single volley here, but not before both bombers are pretty much eviscerated. Although this unit got some good cost-effective damage against those guys. But really, it's looking pretty good for my opponent here. He's gotten most of the better trades. Count NOCTILUS is moving forward. And my deck gunners are getting nuked pretty badly by all of his cannons. Granted, the triple deck gunners are now teeing off, and we were able to more or less kill some huntsmen, which has felt quite good. We do also get an invocation up on the deck gunners here. And there are some Empire Knights which have gotten into my back line, but we do have some halberds here. The deck gunners are going to be turning and blasting them, which is normal. Typically, the Empire is the aggressor in this matchup, and I have to say, being the one that was forced to aggress here really has caught me off guard so far in this matchup. But, we're not in the worst shape. We broke off some huntsmen here. NOCTILUS is beat up. I still have some scurvy dogs that can pressure in and cause some problems. Sirens grinding away in the front line against swordsmen. And these doggos, now that the knights are committed, could potentially cause some massive disruption to the back line. And the deck gunners were able to just dunk on those Empire Knights super hard. That's one of their biggest strengths for sure. So here are some flagellants. Count NOCTILUS going to be going after those bad boys. We do get a pistol summon going down, ripping some shots here at Marcus Wolfhart. It is kind of pulling the balance of fire back towards the middle, as those deck gunners are able to get some good saturated value. But despite the invocation, one of my deck gunners is crumbling simply because the carronades have been able to do so much damage. Probably should have shot the carronades. Very static, high value targets there, but you know, the troll toll is being paid here. Doggo's going in. We get a surround on Marcus. Marcus is at about 2,000 HP, so there's no healing in this Empire army. So I figured let's go in there, try and get some work done. And here the Scurvy Dogs are able to juke the spears on the flank. So finally we're getting into the cookie jar, which is huge. We shut down the Hammer of the Witches, which has been sniping my deck gunners. And from here, the Scurvy Dogs should be able to break this cannon very quickly and then jump over here and go after the Silver Bullet. So this is certainly our avenue to try and get back in this game here. Although it looks like Marcus may be going for another sniping attempt here. Oh, the overcasted Fireball of Doom. Here it comes. NOCTILUS dropping an invo. That Fireball hits like an absolute truck, and it looks like my Scurvy Dogs were peeled off there, but not before we did get the Hammer of the Witches, which felt quite good. So now we're juking backwards, still trying to find those juicy targets. This was just like, I saw this area, I was like, oh god, so much free stuff. But the Empire Knights now had the scent, and a nice little burning head going down there. I did partially dodge it, and it does kind of roast the swordsman, which is funny, but it does also lead my Sirens to crumbling, even with a partial hit. Bombers, like I said, very good at this in the back line. They're just kind of sitting and, you know, cleaning up flagellants. There's only one left, and it looks like the last of them should be going down. And a bit of a desperation play. I'm trying to snipe Marcus Wolfhard, so my deck gunners here just shooting in, going for him, but he's a very small target. So again, in retrospect, I would recommend shooting the cannons or something else, because in this case, I'm doing very little damage, and he's able to dodge it. Most of the shots aren't missing. So I know Sirens are relatively tough to deal with, so the idea is that I send them right up the middle here. Scurvy Dogs juking around the outside of the map. And the Bombers have some good ammo left, but one of my deck gunners here is running on fumes. Count NOCTILUS back here with Invocation, trying to get some big AoE heals on those units. Marcus is at about 1,000 HP, so potentially something we could finish off, but a really, really beautiful net from my opponent there is able to lock down the Sirens. And also it does happen to get my deck choppers who are running over here to drop some business here on the Great Cannons, but beautiful play there from my opponent. Really, really good Hunter Snares this game. And yeah, Sirens grinding away, man, but beautiful fire here from the Silver Bullets. They got that magic and making me question my Sirens here. They're like, oh god, Anakin, I'm too weak. The Silver Bullets and the fire magic plus the cannon seem to be enough magic damage to consistently deal with the Sirens. Now from here, Empire Knight's going to be rampaging into my back line, and though I do have good ammo, I don't really have any way of defending these. The deck gunners are probably one of the most quintessential glass cannon units in the game. These guys hit so hard, the deck gunners, for their price point, but they're also just so squishy with less than 3,000 HP, pretty much no combat stats at all. Hard Knock Life is going to be trying his best. We do drop a pistol summon here to try and peel off the Empire Knights, and it's doing an okay job, mind you. And Scurvy Dogs do get into the backfield, and we also shut down the other Great Cannon with a summon, so a couple decent little grabs here at the end game, but with his Huntsman being functional, Silver Bullets being healthy, so much on the battlefield, the Great Dactyr here is going to be defeating my Vampire Coast. This actually took place in one of my tournaments, so this was in, I can't remember, the round of 16 or something for one of my single faction tournaments, and I was playing Coast in it, which was quite a bit of fun, but in the end, yeah, he did a great job, and it really caught me off guard. I had used this build a week earlier. I was practicing it against Anticity with, you know, relative success, but then Anticity was using Volkmar the Grim. So I come in, Marcus really, really punishes my Lord. I think I shouldn't have been as conservative, though. I think pulling back was a mistake. I think I should have been forward with NOCTILUS, chasing Marcus, dropping summons in his backline. That was one big mistake. And the build I still think is pretty good. The Sirens, though, yeah, with Silver Bullets, it kind of makes me question it. For sure. Silver Bullets and Fire Magic, maybe you cut the Sirens, you just get, I don't know, you could get some cannons of your own, but I don't know how much I like that. Empire Aggression can be really scary. If you get like 3 deck gunners, 2 cannons, and handguns, it can be really hard to protect. Like, you need Sirens to block Empire Knights and things like that, but his build was very different, and he played very well too. His nets were beautiful, his burning heads were really good. Just a lot of great, solid play for sure. And yeah, I liked it, man. It was cool seeing the Hammer of the Witches and all that sort of good stuff. I think he went on to get to the top 8 of that tournament. I can't remember how it went from there, but nonetheless, it was pretty cool. Well played to Dactyr. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Coast versus Empire showdown. It's a fun matchup. I feel like it might be, I don't know. A lot of people will say that it's very Empire favored, but from someone who mains Empire and Coast, which are probably my 2 main factions, I would say that I feel like it's relatively even these days. Like, I feel like either side can win it for sure. That's just my 2 cents. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at some modifications to the build we can do. So we'll jump on over here. I have so many damn replays to get through. It's been the Wild West here, guys. So custom battles. Let's go to my build. So yeah, I have saved builds. So if you guys ever want to like see any on streams and things like that, just let me know. Coast versus Empire. Yeah, or Counts versus Empire. No, that's not the right one. Counts versus Empire, Counts versus Empire, Coast versus Empire, yes. So yeah, this is more or less the build I had run in the past. This one probably would have been better. Yeah, I think this was the adjustment I made after that game. It's like switching to triple Great Cannon. It's really hard to protect, but you still have the Sirens and Scurvy Dogs. Yeah, I don't know. Because you could theoretically kill 3 cannons can outmuscle 2 Empire cannons if you're using invos and stuff. I feel like we need a little bit more width here. So what we could do is cut like a Cyrene and get like 2 deckhand mobs like this. That gives us more width and also still gives us a Cyrene to use in the backfield. It's also less of an investment in magic, but I think something like this could be really strong. Anyways, well played to my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.